Hi, I'm Esther Livingston. I'm the internship director, and I'm going to go over the agreement that you're being asked to sign. This is required of all interns for summer 2022. So let's get started with this first paragraph here. The reason we're doing this is just so you'll be sure that you understand what it is you're signing because you are accountable for this. Okay, first paragraph. This agreement is between the college and you, the Berea College student, and you're participating in a summer internship either in person or remotely. And the purpose of the agreement is to identify the responsibilities and expectations of both parties as they relate to the internship experience. And both parties acknowledge, agree to, and understand the following. So let's look at this first bullet point. You may go ahead and open a DocuSign form and initial as we go through if you'd like, or you can just watch this and then go open the form later and click through and sign each initial and then sign the form. But the first bullet, the student is going to complete an internship experience proposal form, and then additionally, they'll complete an experience request and handshake. And these are based on the offer from the employer that you've received. And you then will have to obtain approval for the course credit and from the appropriate academic department. And if you're an international student, you'll need approval from the International Student Advisor, and then ultimately from the Office of Internships. And there's a process for this. The second bullet, if you are requesting financial assistance in connection with the internship, you have to do that directly through the college's Office of Internships. And not all internships are eligible for grant assistance. Most are, but not all. And any decisions regarding eligibility and amounts of the amount of money you receive, those are made by the Office of Internships, and they are outside the scope of this agreement. So they are done separately. That's a separate thing. The third bullet, you are choosing to participate in an in-person, remote, or hybrid internship. You can do any one of those three, but they are only approved if the organization meets the requirements recommended by the CDC for health and safety during COVID-19. Then the next bullet, a copy of this agreement and the internship experience proposal will be emailed to the site supervisor at the organization. And that's just for their documentation and information purposes. They'll know what you have agreed to. The next one, the internship experience proposal form, identifies and provides contact information for all the parties involved. So they will have your contact information, they'll have your faculty sponsors' contact information, we'll have it, they'll have ours, it just provides it for everyone. Then the student understands and agrees that as an intern, they're not an employee. You are not an employee of the organization or of the college. Even though we might be providing funding for you, you're not being paid as an employee. You're not an employee. And so you aren't entitled to the benefits that employees typically would be. That might be health benefits and workers' compensation and unemployment compensation and other rights of employees, because you are not an employee. Then the last bullet here, the student represents to the college and the organization that you're able to travel, live, and work independently during the full term of the internship. This would be, of course, subject to any caveats or restrictions that you disclose in writing to me, the internship director, and also to the organization. And this is important that you understand that, because you don't want to get 2 weeks into an internship and then disclose that you're unable to do something and you need accommodation. This needs to be done beforehand, okay? Then let's go ahead. In addition, item number 1 here, in addition to everything we've already talked about, you're agreeing to these following points. I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. You're agreeing to perform your duties at the internship and your academic assignments as described in the proposal to the best of your ability and to the satisfaction of your supervisor at the site and your faculty sponsor here at Berea. Then you're agreeing to follow the rules, procedures, and personnel policies of the organization and be particularly mindful of those related to confidentiality. If in addition, we're over here on item C, You're agreeing to obtain the organization's written approval before posting anything on social media regarding the organization, its culture, operations, employees, clients, or customers. I can't emphasize this enough. Let me just say, I can't. You're better off not posting anything. Of course, we love it if you do post something. I'm having a great internship experience, that we love. Just let your employer know that you would like to post this. Let them take a look at it and say, yes, that's okay. But if your internship actually includes duties of making social media posts, then you agree to only post those on the organization's social media and with their approval. Okay. So you would never post anything about, especially anything negative about the employees you're working with, about the clients or customers you might be helping. Just don't post anything on social media in this regard. Then D, you're agreeing to report to the internship site promptly. And if you were sick, in the event of an illness or some type of emergency, you would notify the supervisor at the organization, giving as much notice as reasonably possible. And if an extended absence, meaning more than 3 consecutive days from your work was necessary, you must also notify your faculty sponsor and the director of internships. That's me, the internship office. You can call and then send an email as well. Call us and send an email, both of those things. Item E, you're agreeing to follow those safety precautions related to COVID-19, whatever happens to be in place at that time. Could be any of these things. You're also agreeing, number F here, letter F, to fully accept the increased health risks related to travel, housing, and work during a pandemic. And you're releasing the college from any liability in this regard. That just means, this is you acknowledge and understand that there is some increased risk to traveling, for the internship, but that it is your responsibility, and you take on that responsibility, and you release the college from any liability in this regard. And then letter G, you're agreeing to be responsible for your own medical insurance while you're at the internship. I think all Berea students are required to have medical insurance. Some people, they have private insurance, others are on Medicaid, others may have the college insurance. But regardless, you must have it during the internship. And if you need help with this, if you don't have it for some reason, please talk to my office. Let us know about this. We can work through it with you. We can add you to the college insurance policy. It will cost about $100, and it will be your cost. If we're providing you funding, we cover enough for that. But one thing students sometimes don't realize is that if you are on Medicaid in a particular state, it covers you in that state, but not in another state. So if you had coverage in Kentucky through Medicaid, but your internship is in Tennessee, you would not be covered in Tennessee. So it's really important that you understand that and that you request to be added to the college's policy for the summer. And we want you to be safe, but we also want you to be able to get medical care if you need it while you're at your internship. You could get a sinus infection or sprain your ankle or something like that and need to go to an urgent care. And we want you to be able to do that and, with insurance. So let us know about that. Then on to item H, you're also agreeing to have car insurance as required by law if you're driving your own personal vehicle. And you understand that under no circumstances should you have clients or other employees of the organization in your personal vehicle, okay? If they have a vehicle, a company vehicle that you would be driving on their behalf, they should have insurance that covers you. And yes, of course, that makes sense. But don't transport customers, clients, children, for the organization in your personal vehicle. Item I, you're also agreeing to grant permission for the college and the Office of Internships to use your name, photo, major, and a little bit of information about your experience for informational, promotional purposes in our written materials, presentations, social media, online, and this is for reporting, basically. We might just say, this person did an internship at this site. And, if it's a donor, we have to report to them as well. That's the next item, J. You're granting permission for us to access that financial information on your funding form and also your proposal as necessary for reporting purposes. So I and J, this is really just saying this student did an internship here, basically, and we might be telling other students about it, or we might be reporting to the donor, or for some other reason. And then K, we're agreeing to provide contact information for who it is you want us to contact in the event of an emergency that involved you. So who would that be that you would want us to reach out to in that situation? Then item 2, the student further agrees to these following statements. And this section is more about worst case scenario kind of things. So the first one there says you're responsible for decisions about living and travel. You arrange your own housing, you choose where you're going to be staying, how you're going to get there, those sorts of things. You're also making decisions about medical treatment. If you have prescriptions or therapies, or if you need to go to the doctor while you're there, all these decisions, these are your responsibility. And this also includes any kind of treatment for COVID-19. Then B, in the event emergency medical care became necessary and you were unable to secure it for yourself, the college could be notified, and a representative of Student Life may, but they're not obligated to, they may secure medical treatment on your behalf. And this could include surgery or anesthesia. It's not limited to those. There could be other things, but that would possibly include those. And in such circumstances, you accept and agree to be personally responsible for the costs of the treatment and the care. Even though we might have arranged it on your behalf, it's still your insurance and you that are responsible for the cost. And then, of course, the college nor its representatives can be responsible for the availability or the quality of any emergency care that you received. Item C, neither the college, the Office of Internship, the organization, or any of their representatives are responsible for the cost of any medical treatment incurred on your behalf. In the event that the college or the organization or one of their representatives decided to make some type of interim financial arrangement or some type of financial advance on the student's behalf. So if we paid something on your behalf for medical treatment, those arrangements are not a waiver of the provision above. You are still ultimately and primarily responsible for all costs of medical treatment, even if it's incurred on your behalf, if someone else arranges it. If you have questions about this, let me know. These are, like I said, these are kind of worst case scenarios. This section where it says if you're unable to secure it, there could be a lot of reasons for that, but one of them might be that you're unconscious. We, of course, will reach out to your emergency contact first, but if we couldn't reach them, and you needed some kind of surgery or something immediately, that's the kind of situation we're talking about. It has never arisen since I've been here for 10 years, but it could, and we just want to clarify what would happen in a case like that. So let's go on to the next item, which is on page 3 there, item D. You understand that you're solely responsible for costs that might arise out of voluntary or involuntary withdrawal from the internship prior to its completion. This means if you quit, or if you were fired or asked to leave prior to the end of the internship, that you are responsible for the costs related to that. Now, this might mean that you are sick, or there was a family emergency, or some disciplinary action by the college or the organization. In any case, you're responsible for those costs. Having said that, we will look at the circumstances and we'll determine, what makes sense in terms of the cost. You may have to pay back some of the funding, maybe have to pay it all back, depending on when things happened or what happened. Most of the time, we look at that. If someone gets very sick and has to leave or has an emergency, and they're only 1 week into the internship, then you're going to have to pay most of it back. If it's 1 week before the end, then we look at that differently, of course. And especially if it's something out of your control, we would look at those things too. So we would just want to talk about that. And then E, you understand that you're subject to the Berea College Student Code of Conduct and the Student Judicial Code during the internship. You're subject to both of those. Even though you may be on an internship in Florida, not on campus, you're still subject to the Code of Conduct and the Student Judicial Code. Then item F, the student agrees and understands that this internship is an exercise in independent living and the activity and study that's outside regular programs and services of the college, and that it's been arranged by you or at your request. And the student understands that any extracurricular activities and travel that you might participate in before the internship, on the way back home, on the weekends, in the evenings, that sort of thing, anything that you're doing on your own time, these are not considered part of the internship. And they're at your own risk and your expense. So the example I usually use there is if a student is doing an internship in Southern California and they decide they want to surf and learn how to surf while they're there. You could certainly choose to do that. It's an exercise in independent living. You could do that. However, if you got hurt doing that, you just need to understand that that's at your own risk and expense. That's not actually part of the internship. Okay, so then item G, the student understands that the college and the organization have no responsibility whatsoever for the student's personal conduct. Okay, your health or safety during the term of the internship, especially except as set forth in this agreement. So we want you to be safe, make good decisions, that sort of thing. If if something happened, we're not responsible. Let's just say that we're not responsible for your personal conduct, okay, and your safety. So you are responsible for that. Please do be safe and be cautious and wise. The last part of that is in the event the internship is with an organization that's selected or arranged by the college, then the college agrees to exercise ordinary care in such selection or arrangements, but disclaim any responsibility for the actions or conduct of the organization and its employees and their third-party clients. Okay. Item 3, this is what the college is agreeing to. That's fairly simple. We're going to provide academic supervision of the internship course. That's your faculty sponsor. They will have pre and post meetings. They'll be reading your assignments, your journals, and they'll evaluate the learning experience, give you a grade. Then B, we are also agreeing to provide counsel and advice in the event of any kind of problems that might arise. You have to tell us about them. You have to disclose them, but then we can talk through that with you and help figure out, the best solution. And then C, we are agreeing to grant you academic course credit upon successful completion. And that means, turning in your assignments, your papers, your journals, all those things as requested on time by, these are defined in the proposal. But successful completion includes those things as well as the things that come afterwards. The timesheet that has to be turned in, the evaluation that you have to do, the presentation that you do in the fall, all of those things are described in the proposal, and they are all part of successful completion. All right, at the end here, winding up this agreement and the internship experience proposal that are based on the offer you received, they constitute the entire agreement and understanding between the college and the student in respect to the internship. This agreement shall be construed and governed in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And then by your signature here, you, the student, are confirming that you've listened to the recorded overview and you have read, you understand, and you agree to the terms of this agreement. So you will be asked now to sign this in DocuSign. You'll receive a copy of it. You'll also be prompted to enter the information for the emergency contact person. Who should we contact if there was some type of emergency? And for, if you're not sure about that, some international students choose to list Kai Anderson, the international advisor, because all of their relatives are in another country. And so you can choose to do that with Kai's permission. That would be okay. And here's all of our contact information. So thanks for listening. Go ahead and complete the form, the DocuSign form, with your signature, and then we'll continue through the rest of the process.